All right, good afternoon, everybody. I had a couple of questions about solving a system of linear inequalities as well as graphing them. What I'm going to do, I have an example of one real quick. So the first example that I got, the first inequality is x plus y is less than or equal to 7. And on this one, 2x minus y is less than or equal to 8. Now, in order for us to solve a system of inequalities as well as graphing them, we want to solve each inequality for y, because if we solve the inequality for y, it makes sure graphs a lot easier to see what we're going to have to shade. So, on the first inequality that we have, x plus y is less than or equal to 7. Okay, what we're going to do, we are going to kind of sort of get rid of the wind here. I apologize. What we're going to do, we're going to subtract x on both sides. So if we subtract x over here, we've got to subtract x over here. Then whenever we do that, we get y all by itself less than or equal to a negative x plus 7. Okay? So now we have y is less than or equal to a negative x plus 7. Now, in order for us to graph this inequality, you graph it just like you would an equation in slope-intercept form, meaning we have our slope right here, which is a negative 1 over 1, and you got your y-intercept, which is a positive 7. So if you remember back when graphing slope-intercept form, we always plot our y-intercept first, and then we do our rise over run, which in this case is a negative 1 over a positive 1. So whenever we do that, we plot our y-intercept, so positive 7, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So your y-intercepts are going to go right here. Now, our rise over run is a negative 1. So that means we're going to go down 1 and to the right 1. Okay, so it'll be about right there. Down 1 and to the right 1, and you can keep on following that same pattern. So whenever you keep connecting your dots, your graph should look something like this for your inequality. Okay, this is just the first inequality. All right. Now, the reason why we solve our inequality for y is because in this particular problem, all of our y values are less than or equal to negative x plus 7. So that means for this inequality, all of our y values, everything that makes this inequality true, is smaller than this line right here. So what this says is that our solution for this inequality means that we shade everything underneath this line right here. And we shade everything. All right? And we just keep on shading, okay? So this is just the first inequality right here. Okay? Now, for the second inequality, we actually do the same exact process. Same process we just did. We're going to come back to that first inequality in just a second. So for the second inequality that we had was 2x minus y is less than or equal to 8. So in order for us to get y by itself, we would subtract a 2x from both sides. So that means we would have a negative y all by itself, which is less than or equal to a negative 2x plus 8. Now, we have a negative y by itself. We need a positive y by itself. So in order for us to get a positive y by itself, we divide both sides of our inequality by negative 1. So a negative y divided by a negative 1 gets us a positive y. But the trick is, for inequalities, anytime you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number, that inequality sign flips. So when you do that, the inequality sign is going to change over. So it would be y is now greater than or equal to a negative 2x divided by negative 1, which is a positive 2x, and a positive 8 divided by a negative 1, which is a negative 8. All right? So now we still have the same type of problem that we had on the last inequality. Y is greater than or equal to a 2x minus 8, meaning we got our inequality in slope-intercept form. This is our y-intercept at negative 8, and our slope is a positive 2. All right, so When we go ahead and graph this guy, we plot our y-intercept, which is -8. So it's down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So your y-intercept is right here. Okay. And then our rise over run is a 2 over 1. Up 2 to the right 1. So we're going to go up 2 and to the right 1. Up 2 and to the right 1. And you keep following that same pattern. Okay, of course my graph is not really to scale. Keep following that same pattern. Your line will look something like that. Hopefully yours is a little bit straighter than mine. I am definitely not an artist. All right. Now our inequality said y is greater than or equal to 2x minus 8. So greater than means that we're going to shade everything above this line. Okay? So everything above this line means it's going to be greater than. Everything below this line would be less than. All right? So when we shade everything above this line, we just shade everything on top. We just keep on going. Okay. All right. Remember, nothing is shaded down here because down here would be y is less than or equal to. Up here would be y is greater than. Now, how we graph the system, okay, the system of inequalities, is basically we combine the two graphs. Okay? So when you combine the two graphs right here, okay, we see which part of the graphs actually overlap. Okay? So basically you're putting the two graphs together. Now, in other words, when you combine the two graphs, this is actually what your answer would look like. Okay. This is what it would look like right here. Now, this first line right down here, okay, this one going right up here, that's the first inequality that we had. The second inequality that we had, which is y is greater than or equal to 2x minus 8, that's this line right here. Okay? Now, for us to graph this system, we look at the parts where the shaded parts overlap. Okay? Now, on this particular problem, all of our shaded parts overlap down in this region right over here. Now, in this graph right here, in this drawing, the second inequality I have shaded using blue pen, and the first inequality I have shaded using red pen. It would definitely not be a bad idea to use different colored pens or different colored markers. So, in order for us to correctly graph or correctly shade this inequality, everything that makes this inequality true or makes a system of inequality true is all this shaded material down here in this area. Okay? So basically, in a nutshell, graphing a system of inequalities is just like graphing a normal equation using slope-intercept form. You just got to determine whether you're going to shade above the line or shade below the line. And then your answer or your correct graph is where your shades overlap. Okay? So, let me know if any of y'all have any more questions. In the meantime, I hope everybody has an awesome Thanksgiving break. All right.